All right, so this is the Lofi-12, and we're going to start by changing the BPM. I'm going to go down to, get it to like 92 maybe. That might be good. And the first three tracks, I'm going to assign some drum samples. So track 1, there's a couple of ways we can do that. The first way is from the sound menu on a track. We can press the A button and it'll show the list of samples. By default, it shows the tag view, which is a pretty interesting way to navigate samples on the Lofi-12. I know the digitakt has a very similar setting for saved voices and saved sound effects, but on the Lofi you can assign samples different tags. And we can browse through tags by going through this menu, which maps to these square keys. So if I press track 1, this is going to show me all of the bass drums. If I press track 2, it's going to try to show me items that are tagged both bass drum and snare drum, which there aren't any. So we'll go down to bass drum. We can scroll around with the arrow keys and select with the OK. And then we can go back with clear. If we press left, we can preview the sounds. In this instance, the bass drums come in both 12 kilohertz and 24 kilohertz formats. Some of the other samples do as well. Because this is a Lofi-12, it can only play 12 or 24 kilohertz samples. You can convert your own samples. It has an option built in to let you convert any samples you put on the memory card into a lo-fi quality. So I like that one. Let's try that. And then we can demo it pressing the track key, much like you would on the digitakt. In this instance though, these buttons are all velocity sensitive. So if I press it softly, it's quieter. And if I press it harder, it's a lot louder. Now for these other two tracks, we want snare drums and hi-hats. And instead of picking the samples from this menu, we can go into function pad, which brings up the project menu. And from here, we can select sample slot, which will show us all of the samples that are loaded. You can have up to 256 samples. You can use this value dial to move quickly through the menu, or you can use the arrow keys to move a bit slower. So let's go up to the top again, and we can press menu and then browse sample. And from here, this brings up the sample pool, which is all of the samples in the folders that are on the memory card. But we can go back to the tags menu by clicking tags shortcut here. And then we want snare drums. So we'll press track 2. If we wanted to assign our own tags, I think we can press C and then we can pick which other tags that we want to apply. And then we can save them. So we'll start by listening to some claps, like that one. 99's good. And let's scroll down to actual snare drum samples. 99 snare drum is pretty good. So if I was to change menus now, it would deselect. So we'll just load those up. And then in here, we'll tags and hi-hats, and then we'll try to find. Okay, so we have a few there. Now that those are loaded up, we can exit out of sample slots, and that's still the bass drum. Track 2 has gone on to hi-hats. Cool. In track 3, we'll put a hi-hat on. Great. So now we have our samples loaded up for our initial set. We can press function and pad to go to it without activating the sample. We'll check on the digitakt. When you hold down track or one of the keys and press a track, it'll not play it. Otherwise, it'll play it. We can go to record and set in a 4 on the floor. And now we go to track 2. Now I've been playing around with some more sort of, I don't know, different snare drum patterns. I say as I put in a pretty standard one. Let's see how that sounds. Nice. Now if I were to add any effects right now, that's going to record them in right away. So if we go to amp and tweak, say, reverb, you'll see that they've lit up orange, and then you can't actually change them other than by clicking it and adding another hit where it's turned orange, where it's turned yellow. If you just have a parameter lock on it, it'll turn orange. If I wanted to change reverb for the entire track without setting it on here, we just turn off record, and then we can change the setting that way. So now I have all these other settings set that I don't want. So if we press function in one of these, it'll show the data information. And there is a key to switch data steps. Oh yes, if we press left and right, it'll select all of the steps that have been set on this sequence. So I want step 3, and we can press function clear, and that'll get rid of that setting. But for these 2 steps, I don't want this in at all, so I can just press function clear, which will delete the step data, and then press function clear again. There may be a faster way to do that, but here we are. This one I do want to keep, but I don't want the reverb setting. So if we scroll down, so in this data menu, it'll show all of the settings that have been applied to this sequencer step. So we can see which notes being played, what velocity it was played at, what rolls or ratcheting it's got set on, and other settings for sweeps and pressure. And any other customizations that you do, like the filter or effects, will show up on this list as well. And you can adjust them directly here. Or we can just press function clear on one of these customizations and it'll get deleted. We can also undo any of those changes or redo them. So and for some reason that set reverb on all the steps, so maybe a bit of a bug there. But okay, so now we've got a kick and snare pattern. Go over to track 3 and if we want to add a bit of variation here, we can go to the config menu, and in sequence mode, we can change the probability of all the notes being... I did the thing where I forgot to stop recording, so now it's applied the dice setting to every step, which is a little frustrating. So what I did want to demonstrate is that we can change the probability of the entire sequence steps, although it only goes down to 25% probability, unlike on the digitakt where you can go all the way to 0 if you wanted to. Okay, so I think these hi-hats are a little loud, so we go to the mix menu, we'll go to the You can see the mixer. If we press left and right, we can go to the different mixers, and we'll make hi-hat a little quieter. Nice. And from here, we can also set a global effect. So we enable it. We have a nice, we have a filter for the entire mix down, which is resonant. We can change from a low pass, a high pass, and a band pass. And we also have the option, which I found a little bit dangerous to use, is the compressor, which by default has a very extreme setting. There we go, turn down the ratio a little bit. And from here, we can also set a sidechain. So we can say track 1 is the sidechain, and then we can set a target to which is going to get affected by the sidechain, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense right here, but I don't know, maybe it'll work. Yeah, that'll make more sense later on once we actually have some sound going. But I'm going to turn it off for now. All right. And one more thing, I guess, we have the mute option. If we just press mute, we can mute. If it's disabled, if we hold it down, we can just do a quick toggle, or we can go into mute mode in some more, a bit more performance oriented, and mute them that way. Okay, so now we've got the drums down, we can start playing guitar a little bit maybe. So to do that, we have a couple options. We can either sample the guitar, or we can pull it in as an external source. So let's do the external source first. We can enable it by going to ext source here, go to enable, and from there, I mean, granted it's running through microcosm right now, but it's disabled. And if we just start playing, it's got a pretty good level without having to do anything, and it's actually dialed back a little bit. So yeah, the instrument inputs on this Lofi-12 are pretty good. We can dial in some reverb. And a delay. Nice. So we just start playing now. We can just sort of jam along to the drums that we've already programmed in. Yeah. As you can see, I'm clearly not the best guitar player in the world, but well, this is why we're here. This is why we're practicing and using the groovebox to practice with. So I want some bass to go along with this, and I quite like to just have the E string going as a sort of drone. Yeah, that sounds pretty good, right? And let's see if we can make it sound even more fun with microcosm. Let's see how that goes. That's pretty good. All right, so let's sample that so we can have a sort of bass, repeating bass note. So I'm going to turn off the external source just to make it a little less confusing when we're sampling. And we press function sample. And from here, it's already set on guitar, but we can change the different sampling modes. So microphone input, and then stereo line level, mono line level, USB, and then resampling different tracks. So we're going to put it on guitar, and there's a normal setting here, so we can change the input gain. Normal's fine. If we press B, we can enable monitoring and control the level of that. And then D setting is normalize. So we'll just set normalize, that's fine. And we have a little view meter, and we can control what sound quality we want to record at. So 24 kilohertz is fine. And then the value dial, put that down. That lets us change what our arm volume will be for recording. So 36 is fine. And now we need to assign a track for the sample to go into. So we'll pick track 8 and press the record button. And now it's armed and waiting for us to play a note. So let's go. Maybe dial up the volume level a bit. And send it into the reverb. We want a nice drone just going on. So we'll assign that. And that's just going to play one bar. And we have up to 8 that we can play with. So let's go to config, and in len, we can set a number of bars. Maybe 3 is good. So let's try that. We only need 2 bars. Nice. Just a reverb a little bit, make it a bit longer. Dial down the pre-delay. And one thing you can also do in the sound config menu, where is it? Ah yes, sound config. We can change the voice to polyphonic. And if you go back to the config menu, you can change. By default, it's in a choke group. So if it plays again, it'll restart. If you turn off choke, it can play over itself. So if there's any tail going on, it'll keep looping through. So now we have a nice bass effect, which we can also play along to. So back to external source, we enable it. And there we go. It's very easy to get carried away when you have a nice backing track to go along with your practice. It's definitely made practicing guitar a lot easier. I was just going up and down the scale, not really, just noodling around, not doing anything in particular, and it was kind of fun. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Maybe I'll do a few more videos on the Lofi-12 and try to figure out if I'm going to keep it or not. It's kind of on the fence. There's a few features we haven't got into yet in this video, but if you'd like to see more of this device, let me know in the comments. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.